Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, and I am the founder of the scholarship system, where I took my own experience of securing over 6 figures in scholarships, graduating completely debt-free, and literally getting an overage check every single semester, and turned it into a program helping families do the same. I'm sharing this because I want you to understand that it is possible for students to be able to graduate without any debt if they know the right steps to follow. If you find this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe so you don't miss on the next one, and keep an eye out because every single week we are publishing a new video on one of the strategies on helping with paying for college. Let's talk about how I was able to get 6 figures in scholarships. Now, again, when I was applying for scholarships, I never imagined being able to get to where I could pay for college, never mind literally get an overage check every single semester. And where it really, for me, the problem was I had less than average test scores. I was an absolute horrible athlete, and our family was in what I call the income gap, where we made too much money to just get to pay for college or to get any kind of financial aid for college, and yet there was no way they made enough money to actually cut a check and pay for school. So I knew that that paying for college was on me. Now, I've worked with thousands of families over the years, and they say the same thing. They're always saying, there's no way we can get this, we make too much, or my student is just an average student, they're not very involved, their scores aren't great, they're not an athlete. And if you think that matters, stick around because I have a lot of good news for you, including the fact that none of that matters when it comes to this. Now, when it comes to paying for college, there are a few terms that you need to know before I go into the specifics. So first off, there's financial aid. Now, when I'm speaking about financial aid, I am referring to money through the university and or through the government. So this is often accessed by submitting a government form, which I'm going to have a separate video explaining all about that. And that's how you can tap into financial aid. Now, a lot of schools, they call it a financial aid package. So for them, it includes kind of everything that they throw at you. But overall, when I'm talking about financial aid, I'm talking about the grants or the money that's awarded through the university. Now, that is also separate from merit money. So merit money is money given based on your merits, based on your students' merits through the university. This can include university scholarships. This can include athletic scholarships, community service scholarships. So money that the universities actually award. And then lastly, there's private money or external scholarships and also cash awards. I'm going to have a separate video explaining what the difference is between all of these and where to find them. But for now, just understand that there's lots of different sources when it comes to paying for college, whether it's from government access or through the university or through private sources. And when it came to my own process of securing 6 figures in scholarships, I really combined as many of these as possible. And every single year looked different. So with that said, that actually gets me perfectly into one of my first suggestions, and that is to always be applying. So if your student is a junior in high school, they need to be doing this process, and you can start working through this as well. In fact, actually, there are scholarships out there for kids as young as 4 years old. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. They draw a picture, and if they win, they actually can receive a bond that matures when they are heading to college. So now, of course, those are far and few between, but still, my point is, it's never too early to start applying for scholarships. Now, as far as it never being too late, let me explain how I got to the 6 figures in scholarships. So when I worked my way up to a free ride, it wasn't actually by the end of senior year. Now, would that have been great? Absolutely. In fact, we've had some of our own members of the scholarship system be able to pull off a free ride by the end of senior year in high school. So it is doable. But for most average students, for most normal families, we gradually work our way there. And so this is what I did. So by the end of senior year, I had enough to cover freshman year in college. Then by the end of freshman year, I kept on applying and I got enough to cover sophomore, and so on and so forth. And so every year while I was in college, I was reapplying. Now that might sound like a lot of work, but stick with me because I'm going to explain how that doesn't have to be a lot of work towards the end of this. But my point here is I never stopped applying. A lot of families think that, oh, well, once our student goes to college, then game over, we're done. Situation is determined. And the good news is that's not the case, okay? So the first main point, again, is to make sure that we continue applying, continue this process we start early, and we continue going all through college years. Now, the second suggestion on how I worked my way, not only did I gradually work my way up to a free ride time-wise, but my second tip is to apply for anything and everything. Don't ignore scholarships just because it is a small dollar amount. Your student can apply for a $500 scholarship in only a couple hours, and if they receive that, that could be a really nice hourly rate. Maybe we've had some students where we calculated it and they were making $400 an hour in the end for their effort. So if you think about what kind of job a student can have that can pay that amount of money, if you figure it out, let me know. But my point here is that as I was applying for scholarships, I applied for all of them, and most of the ones that I got were these small dollar ones, but they still added up to a free ride. $500, $800, $1,200, $2,000. One of my biggest wins was $4,000, which I'm going to share with you. But that one was, that was my biggest. All the other ones were smaller dollars adding up. So you want to make sure that your student is applying to any of them, even if they are the smaller dollars. And the reason is, by the way, we want to apply for ones that are less competitive. And normally students, when they see those smaller dollars, they think, that's not worth my time. Now, my third suggestion when it comes to finding scholarships and winning them is finding a way to make the process more streamlined so that our student doesn't have to start from scratch every time. So one of my favorite steps in our scholarship system that families go through is all about bringing the money in year after year. And when I talk about this, I'm talking about how can we make an essay that is so competitive, so strong, proven to work, and how can we reuse it over and over again? One of our families, this family specifically, brought in over $92,000 in scholarships, a combination of merit money and external money, private money. And I asked them, I said, this is a lot of money. How many scholarship essays do you think you wrote in the end? They told me less than 5. Less than 5 essays, and they were able to bring in almost $100,000 in scholarships. In fact, but combining that with her family, what they can afford to pay, she'll be graduating debt-free. But the thing is, when you get a few solid core essays, you can reuse the materials over and over again. Same thing with recommenders, recommendation letters, resumes, activity lists. A lot of these materials can be used time and time again. We just have to keep them updated and centralized. So we have a whole system about this, but my main point here is that it is possible to streamline this process. It doesn't have to take a ton of time. So we want to make sure that we create those core reusable materials so that it is easier and easier to continue applying like I suggested. Now, just a quick story. One student, she had to borrow $9,000 in student loans to pay for her first year in college. This was, of course, before she found us. Now, once she found the scholarship system, she then followed the tips that I suggested around applying ongoing. So she didn't realize that she could do that. So she continued applying once she got to college. She fine-tuned her materials. She really dialed in that essay, and she was able to just pick out a few passions of hers that even though she wasn't necessarily a leader of something, it was still a value or experience that was valuable to the committees. And with that, by the end of sophomore year, she was able to cover all of the bill without any loans. By junior year, she was actually able to receive an overage check. And that meant that that extra money could either go to expenses or could even be used to pay off that first year's student loan bill. So that was a perfect example of her implementing the strategies. These were small scholarships that added up. I think her first one was $1,000, then she won $2,000, but then she used that material to win one that was $4,000 per year while there. So it was a gradual process, working her way to that free ride while continuing the process and bringing in more and more money each year. So that's a perfect example of implementing these few suggestions that I shared. So if you are a parent trying to figure out how in the world you can help your student graduate from college with as little debt as possible, or if you're a student yourself, it's important to remember that it is possible, it can be done. It's just a matter of continuing the work and knowing the right steps to take. Do me a favor and comment below. What is your concern when it comes to paying for college, when it comes to scholarships? Is it that your student is not competitive enough? Is it that you don't know where to find them? Is it that your student is terrible at writing essays or hates writing essays? Let me know in the comments, because I will be replying to those with a little tip, as well as maybe I can use that to make the next video for you so that I can create a video that answers exactly what you need help in. So comment below, what is your biggest concern when it comes to paying for college, or when it comes specifically to applying for scholarships and your students? So comment below and I will get back to you. Also, I wanted to give a free gift. So in the description, we have tons of links. We have links to the other videos I mentioned, as well as to our blog. And most importantly, I'm also giving you a free training where I cover my 6 steps to securing scholarships quickly to help graduate from college debt free. So these 6 steps are how your student and you can turn their experience into a free ride. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can go ahead to the link below and register for that training. So that's a free gift for you. So with that, keep an eye out. Again, remember that we will be publishing a new video every single week with another suggestion around scholarships or paying for college. If you liked this, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you get an alert once we release the new video. I promise you, you won't want to miss this. And I cannot wait to see you in the next video.